This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. All right, I want to say all praise to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers teaching the truth all over the earth. This lesson is going to be entitled, Esau Doesn't Want America to be Babylon the Great. And Esau is the so-called white man. You Caucasians, you don't want America to be Babylon the Great. But prophetically, we know through the scriptures and history that you, America, is Babylon the Great, mentioned in the Bible. You know, we had this Edomite come on the comment board earlier today and said that America is not Babylon the Great, according to scripture. You jackass. And really, you can't believe nothing that the so-called white man says anyway. And you white people, you're proving you don't know the Bible. You think you know the Bible, but you don't. And the Hebrew Israelites made you study, okay? Because all you've been doing is regurgitating, repackaging and regurgitating lies you've been taught your whole life. Your whole so-called Christian life, you've been pushing the same doctrine. And we start going into the scriptures and cutting the hell out of you. Now you all scared. You're all afraid that America's Babylon the Great. And you try to be slick. You try to be subtle. But you can't get out of this. Because the reason you're saying that now is because you know that the Hebrew Israelites, Esau, and America, Babylon the Great, are linked together in prophecy. So if you can take one part of that away, you don't have to be the Edomites. And you damn white people, you hurt. Boy, you terrified of being the Edomites. But hey, that's your father. Esau is your father. You are the Edomites. And you're going to drink down this judgment. You're going to get this punishment. You're going into slavery. But first, America's going to be destroyed. And you are the people of the Most High's cursed to judgment. There's too many variables for you to just keep trying to explain them all away. Now, the scripture said, that great city, that woman is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. You people are devils, man. On the one hand, you will say, you don't rule the world, right? When it comes to the Bible, you don't want to be the one to rule the world. But if you're having a conversation for bragging rights, you fuckers will say, yeah, we the best nation that ever existed. We got the best military, all the might. And you're right, you do. And all these are qualifications of Babylon the Great and Esau, okay? I was going to say the so-called white man, which is obvious and apparent. You can't get out of it. You mean to tell me that the greatest military, right? The most money, the most elaborate kingdom with naval military bases on every land, they're not mentioned in the Bible? The people that committed the worst atrocity on another people, that's not mentioned in the Bible anywhere? Give me a break. It's mentioned in the Bible. The number one country in all the world, in all of history, the number one empire, right? The best military with the best weapons is mentioned in the Bible. And it's known as Babylon the Great. And it's America. Get over it, white man. Get over it, Esau. Get over it, Caucasians. You're the Edomites, and America is Babylon the Great. You damn devils. You're on a very low level, right? The scriptures tell us also, and I'm going to read that, Revelation 17, it talks about how you spread your wine over the whole earth. You got the whole earth drunk with your abominations, with your wickedness, and that's you. And you cannot say you don't rule over the kings of the earth. You rule the whole world. Who is it that's sitting at the top of NATO? You know, on the has a seat. I forget how they call it. They say, damn it, you're a permanent member, right? Who is it that's setting the policies on the earth as far as trade, all the different agreements? You know, who is on the earth that's telling nations what to do with their natural resources and also taking over shit? Who's the number one most hated place on all the world? At the same time, it appears that you're loved as well. But the reason it's like that is because you have a global media, right? You rule over all the different currencies, man. Esau does, the so-called white man. You can't say you don't rule the world because the people that are in Britain, Rome, right? All these other countries, these main white countries, European nations, they're all Edomites. But America, all together with NATO and the EU, right? That's the 7 heads and the 10 horns. That's the empire, the revised Roman Empire. And where's the headquarters at? The main headquarters in America, Babylon the Great. Who sits atop the UN? Who sits atop the UN? America. Where is the UN at? It's in America. Now, it's made up of other nations, or part of the United Nations, but who's the number one person number one nation in the United Nations? America, Babylon the Great. And you also started all these other international systems, you know, AFRICOM, you know. You the one that's putting the nations together, coming up with all the, you know, the nations follow after you and everything, with their military, the weaponry, all that, man. All of it. It all goes through you. You're the number one in trade and shipping. And it tells you in Revelation 18 about all your trade, all your different items. You're that great city that reigneth over the kings of the earth. You can't get around that. The international bankers, you know, they're the ones that's behind it all, of course, but they place that they set up, their corporation, the ruling corporation is America, Babylon the Great. And all of you together are Edomites. The international bankers are Edomites. You so-called white people in America, you're Edomites. And you can't get out of this. America, Babylon the Great, you know, and I had to stop recording because I thought I saw 5-0. But you know, it also tells you too that America, Babylon the Great has the Israelites in captivity. In Isaiah 47, Zechariah 2 verse 6, right? What other scripture says that? Micah 4:10. It all talks about the Israelites being in Babylon the Great and being delivered from there. You know, and Babylon the Great, Revelation 18 and verse 20 says, "Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her." Why is the Most High going to avenge the Israelites on Babylon the Great if they never came to Babylon the Great? Jeremiah 50:33 says, "Judah and Israel were oppressed together." You know, all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. This place is stained with blood. It's stained with the blood of the Israelites. There is no way out. There's no scriptures you can come up with. You can't. It's the same as we're trying to defend the fact that you're the Edomites. Prophetically, it can't be done, and prophetically, you cannot prove that America is not Babylon the Great. But you don't want America to be Babylon because you know that the Edomites are the rulers of Babylon the Great. But why is all this truth coming out of America, Babylon the Great, if it's not Babylon the Great? That's another determining factor. The Israelites are in Babylon the Great. They're preaching the gospel, as it says in the end times they're going to be doing. Right? And that great, that red dragon is trying to devour us up. You see? That great dragon, that serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Esau, the so-called white man. You see? And words have more than one meaning. Now, altogether, the white nations, you know, dealing with Britain, you know, like Europe and America, all together, they make the 7 heads and the 10 horns. But who's their ruler? Who's their leader? They got one head, that's the leader. That's America, Babylon the Great. The 8th head, which is of the 7th, and shall go into perdition, as it says in Revelation, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 13. You so-called white people, you're the Edomites. You cannot get out of this. America's Babylon. Revelation 17, verse 1, "And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." Also, we're going to read verse 5. "And upon her head was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration." So you see, Babylon the Great, right? The mother of harlots made the whole earth drunk with the wine of her fornication. What's that wine? And what is fornication? Spiritual fornication, right? Spiritual adultery, spiritual wickedness. And what else? That wine is the policies in which, you know, you spread all over the world. They come after you in all your ways. That's why damn near the whole earth now is under the vibration of homosexuality, and half of it is by Christianity. You see, so-called Christianity. You got white Jesus all over the whole planet, man, and people are doing after your ways. Anytime America makes something fashionable, what happens? The whole earth follows that vibration. If it's a song that's a hit in America, you best be sure it's a hit in the rest of the earth. You know, America's the only place on the planet can have something like, some stupid like hula hoops, right? Back when in the early 70s and 80s and the 60s, back in America's heyday, when these new different things, these trends and fashions came out, the whole world took after it. Who else could make hula hoops and be over here on this side of the world and everybody on the planet having damn hula hoops because of what they seen on TV that America's doing? And then after that, what happened? Hip hop. See, Esau, the so-called white man, hired up niggas. These niggas just rap and this different shit like that, and it spread all across the globe. All of the fads and trends come out of America. Why? Because Esau has the Israelites in captivity, and the Israelites are the flavor of the whole earth. So whatever Jake does, the rest of the world picks it up. But how is it being seen on all parts of the world? Through Babylon the Great. Even now on down to the gospel. Through the advent of the internet, the gospel being preached in all the world, and what's happening? You know, it's spreading all over the whole world. Now that's on the righteous side, but on the wicked side, like I said, America made all the nations drunk with the wine of her fornication, spreading homosexuality, which is the main thing all over the globe, democracy all over the globe, right? One of these other nations in which, if you didn't rule over all nations, you could institute your policies the way you do. But there's so many different reasons that you are Babylon the Great, and there's many reasons why you are, and there's no way for you to explain that you're not. There's no way out of this. As I keep saying, I say it every day when I make a lesson. You cannot get out of this. So-called white people, you are the Edomites, and America is Babylon the Great, and your judgment is nigh. It's in the scriptures that the Most High is going to avenge us on Babylon the Great. So you might as well just live it up, you know, do what you want to do, because you got certain judgment to look forward to. And them nuclear missiles are going to come here. The number one place on the whole planet with the best military and the best weapons is described in the Holy Bible. And how did you get the greatest weapons? You had Esau make your weapons, which is you, the so-called white man. This is Revelation 18, verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right, the whole earth has been made rich also through the abundance of her delicacies. See? You know, they got rich with you. Trade. And that's why it's so important for you to own all the trade routes of the seas. You wanted to own run the Panama Canal, right? The Straits of Hormuz, and the different international waterways that are key trade routes. You want to be able to rule over those. That's why you're known as Leviathan, the dragon that is in the sea. You see? That's what it's talking about. When in Isaiah 27:1, when it talks about that great piercing serpent Leviathan, it's not talking about an actual Leviathan, which Leviathan is mentioned in the Bible. But in that regard, it's talking about Esau, the so-called white man, the dragon that is in the sea. Because that's how you establish yourself, through trade. Your international slave trade, you know, your transatlantic slave trade, as it were. You had triangle trade set up, established between who? You and the Hamites, right? The Hamites would sell slaves to the Edomites off the west coast of Africa, and they would take the middle passage and come over here to this side of the world, sell the slaves. You know, the so-called white man would bring the slaves over here, get raw goods and go back to Europe, take the goods to Europe and other parts of the world, and bounce back down to the middle passage and get more slaves. You see? That transatlantic slave trade was a powerhouse. Also, you was selling, like I said, you had the men, slaves picking the cotton down in the West Indies, the sugar refineries, right? You had peanuts and stuff and different things you were getting from Brazil, rum, molasses, and slaves. And I'm going to do a lesson coming up on that shortly, Lord willing. That rum, molasses, and slaves was big business. But also, like I said, cotton, potatoes, just so many different things that you Edomites made money off of. I'm going to read you a scripture dealing with the trade of Babylon the Great. This is Revelation 18, verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all fine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. So there you heard it. And it's all related, okay? It was a long list of goods and items that you sold, but what's some of the most eye-popping things on there? Slaves, and souls of men, and chariots. You sell a lot of cars. Sell and buy a lot of cars. This is the #1 consuming place on the whole planet. America, Babylon the Great. You can't get out of this. The Israelites are here as slaves, you know, and hey, your war. I mean, there's so many different things in the scriptures about the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great. You can never be found not guilty. You know, all that warring and robbery and murdering that you've been doing since you've been, you know, in control of the whole earth. Hey, you were prophesied to come out of the 7th head, right? You're the 8th head, which is of the 7th. You see, from those 7 heads and 10 horns, the 7th was Great Britain. You know, every time you try to pop up and say you're not Babylon the Great, you're not the Edomites, we're gonna push your ass back in the hole and cover you up with another shovel full of dirt. You damn devils will not escape your judgment. America, Babylon the Great's judgment is nigh. Nuclear missiles are gonna come devour this place. The #1 shipping, the #1 trade place in the whole world, man. And that's it. You were finished. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Enough respect to the brothers teaching the truth all over the earth. See you soon with another lesson, Lord willing. America is Babylon the Great for all you Edomites. Shalom.